relate to difficult experiences, to challenges in our life. And today I want to explore something which is equally important, and that is how to awake joy, awakening joy. And I want to share with you 3 simple practices tonight. And each of them takes only 30 seconds. I just came from Zurich, so I had to come up with something. I had to come up with something for overachievers. So I'm looking forward to share with you 3 simple practices to awake joy in daily life. So these 3 simple practices, they are not a formal meditation practice which you need to kind of sit down and have space, but it's the practice for the toilet or for standing in the queue. But before I introduce you to these 3 practices, I want to invite you for a quiet sitting. And the main purpose of this is to give you some space to settle, to connect with yourself, to see what you bring with you into this moment, and to kind of let go the busyness of the day, the pressure of the day. So if you like, you can close your eyes if that supports you. If you have your eyes open, then you leave your gaze relaxed without particularly looking at something. And then see what happens if you start to pay some attention to your inner life. And the most important thing here is to bring a warmth or a kindness into your awareness. So it's like welcoming a friend, arriving at your own door and greeting yourself as a friend. And part of this welcoming is that with your awareness you slide into your body, even down into your feet. And notice how the chair or the floor carries you. And if it helps you, you can slide on your in-breath. So with the in-breath, you slide or you drop into your body. And in the out-breath, there's a bit of a quality of letting go. So the out-breath gives you the opportunity to soften some of the effort, some of the tension. With the in-breath, embracing your belly, your chest, your shoulders. And with the out-breath, letting go of the control freak. letting go of the self-improvement fanatic, the meditator. And nothing is excluded. I invite you to explore what happens if you relax into your experience just as it is. With the in-breath sliding, embracing. With the out-breath letting go of fixing, controlling, trying to get somewhere. So you find yourself gently arriving, being here. And of course thoughts continue to arise, and that's fine. There's space for that. But I encourage you to take thoughts less serious. Don't emphasize them so much. And instead, be lovingly curious about the aliveness in your belly, in your hands, the flow of the breath, the sounds in this room. There's nothing to do just now. Nothing to figure out, nothing you could do right or wrong. Nothing is being asked of you. Just being here, being yourself. And then when you notice that you grasp for something you don't have, with the out-breath, try to relax that grasping. And if you find yourself trying to reject something which is happening, the same. Relax with the out-breath, the grasping, like a fist opening, a tight fist. Suddenly opening, gently and slowly. Let this moment be okay, as best as you can. When you struggle with something, let that be okay as well. When you notice that you are entangled in the stream of thinking, without hurry, gently slide back into the body, into the belly, into the hands. returning and resting. Then with the next in-breath, I invite you to feel what happens when you say, I am enough, to yourself. With the in-breath, allowing the whole body to breathe. I am enough. Just notice what happens. Maybe not much, maybe a little. I am enough. If you find yourself thinking about something else, return to the belly, to the hands, to the breath. And feel in your belly, I am enough. With the out-breath, letting go of the need to feel good. With the in-breath, I am enough. See if you can really deeply drop into the felt sense of the aliveness in your belly, in your body. Let go of the mental image of the body. See if you can feel your own energy and befriend your own energy without words. Go below the words, deeper than the words. With the in-breath, like an embrace. With the out-breath, letting go of the need to feel good. I am enough. Returning and resting. let thoughts come and go in the background. And then even if there's movement, maybe some of it unpleasant, maybe you are tired, but still it could be possible for you to sense the stillness or listen to the stillness which arises when we sit quietly together, protected by the teachings of the Buddha. So towards the end of this meditation, I invite you to broaden your awareness into the space, into the field of awareness which we share. Into the stillness from which this voice comes and within which it is perceived. And your mind does not need to calm down. The stillness is not disturbed by the sounds, by your tiredness, or by your agitation. Peace is also happening. Listen. Listen with your heart, with your body. I didn't want to talk about that, but because now I said it in the meditation, a mantra like I am enough is of course a beautiful practice which you can also bring into your daily life. What is important when you use positive affirmation like that you really take the time to connect with your body and to breathe with the affirmation. So you don't keep it just as a sentence in the head, but you let it really sink into your body. I am enough. And the other thing, what is important, don't use it as a way to try to feel better. But you say it and you drop into your body, and whatever arises, whatever you experience, then that is what you are aware of, and you give space to that. Because when you say I am enough, it's not necessary that you feel better. It could be also that you connect with some sadness or with some resistance or with some upset even. I mean, you could connect with something, what a bullshit. I'm not enough. How cheesy is that? I'm enough. Most stupid thing to say. So that does not mean that the meditation does not work for you, because that is what is happening. And isn't that interesting? To respond to a affirmation with struggle. So when you fail, when you feel hurt, when you have success, I'm enough. So now we go home. This was enough for today. And in 3 months we meet again. The thing is, if you want to make some change with your conditioning, you need to do a practice consistently. It's not enough to say, I am enough, just once. You have to chew on it. It's what repetition makes a difference. So this is my wish always when I offer evenings like this, that somehow I can inspire some people to pick up a little practice like that, I am enough, but that then they consistently work with something, something which they found useful in what I'm saying, because that's where change happens. It does not happen. Change does not happen through having a nice meditative experience in the evening or in a weekend. So pick something very simple, something which fits you, and then you have to chew on it for some time. And I hope that I can say something useful for everyone at one point. Maybe not tonight, but and you will feel it when I offer you a practice, a mantra like this, or these 3 practices which I want to share today with you, if I get to them. Otherwise, it's always good to start with one and then to say, okay, you have to come next week. It's a Buddhist trick. The masters, they also do that. They start to teach a text and then they stop in the middle. So you will feel when I say something which is lightening you up, or something which feels wholesome for you. So then that's something you would explore deeper and bring into your daily practice. And the things where you feel, oh, this is bullshit, then it is probably bullshit. So just leave it. Don't bother your heart with bullshit. Bother your heart with something which feels wholesome for you. So the first practice I want to share with you, awakening joy. So awakening joy in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition is very, very important. So Tibetan Buddhism is Tantric Buddhism. So even the fundamental practices within Tibetan Buddhism always create the foundation for Tantric practices. And part of Tantric practice is to learn to awake joy. Why would you want to awake joy? It seems to be obvious because it feels good, but that's a quite modest reason to awake joy, just because it feels good, because feeling good comes and goes, and it's not such a big deal. It's not a big deal to feel bad or feel good. It's already changing and it will pass. But what is the importance from the Tantric point of view to awake joy is a joyful mind, an uplifted heart is more energetic, is more brilliant, is more, there's more, it lifts up the energy, the conscious energy. And then you take that energy for vipassana, for insight meditation. And it's only insight meditation which break you free, not feeling joy. So you learn, in the Tantric teachings, you learn practices to raise the level of joy, but not for a modest goal for like feeling good. What you then need to do, you need to do something with that joyful mind. And what you do with that joyful mind is to explore reality, vipassana, insight meditation. You can do that also with an anxious and depressed mind. That's also possible, but it's a bit more difficult, because then when our experience is depressed and anxious, we get so self-preoccupied. So we get too, we because we take it serious what is happening to us. And that's kind of normal, even if it's, I don't want to say stupid, because it's understandable that we do that. So, yes, you can break free with a depressed and anxious mind, but it is more easy to break free with energetic mind. It's like another word for that would be vitality. So with joy, you increase your vitality. And a heart connected with vitality is more sharp, is more bright, can look deeper. The assumption and the experience of the Buddhist mystics is that the default state of our heart and mind is joy. So some might not believe that right now. Yeah? But it is really the experience of everyone who, for example, managed the basic stabilization practices, which I have been talking about the last few times, stable attention. It's a very common experience that when your mind stabilizes, that you experience some kind of joy, some kind of peace. So, but that's the assumption. So the assumption is joy is accessible to you in any moment in your life. I know it does not feel like this quite often, But that's the assumption. And we have to test that out. We have to check that up. It's not enough to just believe it, but that's the experience. And the amount of joy is inexhaustible. It's infinite and inexhaustible. Actually, what the Buddha found out is that the truth of this moment is bliss. If you would really connect with the truth of this moment, how this moment really exists, if all your projections would fall away, then what the Buddha says is then you notice that the universe, your life, your world, your private world, your universe is made from bliss.
Is made from
Bliss. Joy. So let's give it a shot. Yeah, I mean, it does not sound too bad. And it's not only the Buddha. Yeah? So maybe it's a good assumption to kind of a provisionary assumption we can kind of hold. Okay, maybe this is true. Maybe actually I disconnect from joy through my projections. And the main two projection is I and the horrible people out there. Mm-hmm. So that's the basic distortion of reality we put into every moment. I, problem out there, yeah, and both is made up. Now, both is something we do. We create this dualistic split through the conceptual mind. I, the horrible others. So the tantric assumption is when that projection dissolves, what is left is bliss, peace, love. What left is a primordial love. That is the experience of all the mystics, not only the Buddhist mystics, but also the Christian mystics or the Hindu mystics. So in Tantric Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhist Tantra, there's a lot of practices about increasing joy, increasing the vitality, and also learning to hold that increased energy without getting messed up with it, without starting the grasping. So in the tradition it's called the union of emptiness and bliss, the union of space and energy. So you learn to increase the experience of joy, but without going like this. Yeah. That's a challenge for us when we experience joy. Either we get a bit uncomfortable, like it's too powerful, or I'm afraid, or then if you are a practitioner of the Shravakayana, then you might even get afraid, because joy means attachment. Get me out of here. It's like attached, I'm attached. Maybe I can't enjoy this piece of chocolate because then that's attachment. Yeah. Which is this kind of practices, they have their place, obviously, and they are good. So it's a foundational practice. But the idea in Tantra is that we can actually learn to approach joy without getting oh, this is going to make me fat, or this is too dangerous, I better don't get close to that, or who am I to deserve to experience joy when there's poor people who can't have not enough to eat, or stuff like that. Yeah. So we might think, yeah, of course I want to have more joy, but that's not so easy to manage joy in a good way, without getting a junkie, the kind of spiritual intensity seeker, yeah, like just using all kinds of stuff to have like Kundalini explosions. Or the other is, there might be a sense, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to feel joy. Joy is dangerous. There's also this interesting thing of, it's difficult to admit, but there's also this interesting thing that we tend to have a bit of addiction into feeling miserable. It's like there's a bit of an addiction to being the victim. And there's a bit of an addiction to being contracted. Being small, because it's shitty, but at least it feels comfortable. It's something we know. No, experiencing joy can be quite dangerous, because that means you have to start to change your mind, because experiencing joy makes only sense when you share it. That's actually one of the main things to experience joy, is to be generous and to share. And of course, that's like, no, then I really, I prefer to stay in my contracted state, because I feel miserable, but at least I don't need to share. I don't need to come out. I don't need to shine. So the first practice I want to share, I changed the numbers. Maybe in the end it will be 4, but let's say 3. It's always good to teach 3. Yeah. So the first one is appreciating moments of joy in daily life. So appreciating and to pause in moments of joy, to recognize them, to pause for them, to breathe for them, with them, and to familiarize yourself, your nervous system, with joy. So you might think, what kind of joy is he talking about? My days are so miserable. I assure you, there is joy somewhere. Just do it. Yeah? Just be curious. So give it a assume just that somewhere in my life, somewhere in my body, there's joy, and now I'm going to become a joy detective. A joy detective. So you buy yourself a little badge. And you call yourself a joy detective. And here, I'm not talking about Kundalini explosion. I'm talking about, I have not found the proper word yet, but I'm talking about glimpses. I'm talking about something which is initially maybe very, very subtle. And that's why you don't notice it. So you need to be a detective. How do you become a detective? Through intention. through curiosity. Okay, the mystics say the default state of my being is joy. So where is this? Let's look for it. I give you a few examples. One is, probably most of you right now don't have a toothache. Do you enjoy it? Not to have a toothache? So remember the last time when you had a toothache and you were like this was kind of filling your whole day and it was so horrible. And you don't have this toothache now. Oh, wow. Oh, it's so good to, yeah? To bite. Like to bite and not to have a toothache. Oh, it gives me like joy. Yeah. To think about it, to feel into that. Another example. I'm not doing this thing with, I find that is stupid, yeah? So I'm not asking. But let's say, imagine I would ask now, okay, who in this room today has clean water, access to clean water? Yeah? You get the point. Do you enjoy it? Probably, maybe you haven't been in a place in your life ever where you didn't have access to clean water. But it's, I mean, if you, after some time, not having access to clean water and then taking a shower in Copenhagen is the paradise. Another question would be, which I don't ask, who here in this room knows where you are going to sleep tonight? Maybe, there's someone here that could be, but most of us, we already know. Do you feel really safe about it? Isn't it wonderful? You don't need to sleep on the street tonight. You will not leave here and feel like lost and where to go then. And maybe your room is really crappy and you live with a horrible person. And we are not denying that. So what is important in this, being a joy detective does not mean that we deny the pain in us and around us. That would be really stupid. And some people try that. That's positive thinking, kind of to gloss over with some stupid thoughts about how things are. So I'm not talking about denying your pain and denying your struggle and denying your anxiety and your depression and the struggles of the people around you. What I'm talking about is that is there, and be sure this is the main thing I'm talking about, yeah? But what I'm talking about is being a joy detective, so meaning to realize that there is also something else, even if it's just tiny. It's maybe very tiny. And that's what I want to encourage you to pay attention to. And when you have detected it, you pause. And you breathe. 30 seconds. That's the 30-second practice. Having a coffee in the morning. I mean, it's like you can have an orgasm with cafe latte. So then, and I'm not talking about mindfully eating an apple and taking 1 hour or something, yeah? and then feeling holy. No. I'm talking about like the first bite. Okay, so the first bite. You put down your phone, the first bite. 30 seconds. Yeah? And then you do the other stuff you need to do while you eat. 30 seconds. Pausing, breathing, bringing your attention to the joy. And of course, what I mean here is not the story about joy. What I mean is the vibration in your body, the energetic, the felt sense of joy in your body. And again, I'm not talking about a Kundalini explosion. I'm talking about something like a breeze, a cool breeze on your skin, something subtle. And then you pause. So, and you do that at least once an hour. Another thing, so now I introduced you to the practice of being joyful of things you don't have. Yeah, so no. Of things you don't have. So you don't have a toothache. You don't have the situation that you don't have a water. Yeah. Another in this category, who here has access to spiritual teachings who lead to awakening? I mean, you can't deny this, yeah? I mean, you are here. But even if you wouldn't be here, you just pick up this thing and you can watch the Dalai Lama live. And not only the Dalai Lama, you can watch any flavor of teachings which ever existed on this planet. You make 2 times like this. You know, the Tibetans, they needed to travel like 6 months on foot. And many of them died on the journey. And we just do like this. And then we are closer to the Dalai Lama than most of the Tibetans ever were in their life. So, this is, I mean, if we really would feel what this means, how precious that is, we would have a multi-orgasm. It's, I mean, this is, a mountain of jewel is like a pile of shit against that. It's so precious. And what is particular so fantastic in this teaching, in the valid teachings, which whatever kind, you know, whatever fits you, you learn methods to relate and to be different with the challenges and problems in your life. So even the challenges and problems are turned into gold by these teachings. And you have like this. So this could be a kind of a bit of a subtle joy in the background of your life. Even if you go through crisis, even if you feel miserable, but there is this joy in the background. Wow, I really have a precious human life. Because I have access to the teachings which lead me to express my potential. So, and then there's all the things, you know, you actually have. So there is, for example, there is some joy detectable somewhere in your body. So even if you suffer from anxiety, and you feel, no, it's everywhere in the body. You know, be a joy detective in your body. What is with your big toe? Yeah? Isn't he quite happy? Like if you do like this, and then you feel, yeah, it's actually, I mean, at least it sucks less than the rest of the body. That's something, yeah? So it sucks less than the rest of the body. So then you turn your attention to that which sucks less. Movement. In every movement is some joy. So if you do exercise, yoga, let go of the self-improvement, I want to be fit and beautiful and successful trip, and look for joy. Look for joy in the running, in the weightlifting, in the yoga. There is something, when you connect with movement, there is joy in it. Because it's like your chi, your prana moves. And that's joy, that movement. And again, it's maybe very subtle. Then, there's so many beautiful people. I mean, now I'm talking from a point of view of a man. I could just sit on the road, yeah, and just look after the woman. I mean, secretly, yeah, otherwise. So, wow, there's joy. Yeah. Then, children. And we are so lucky in Copenhagen that they are let free, that they run, that you can actually see them. They are not locked away in kindergartens or so. No, they are out in the street. That's joy. Touch. So, touch is so incredible. So if you don't have someone to touch or you are not being touched, take a massage. Touch yourself. Do like this. No, we as mammals, our nervous system can't resist the response to touch. So whenever you're touched, and even so, also when you touch yourself, there is joy, there is a response. And so the practice here I suggest is to pause 30 seconds, to breathe into it, to appreciate it, to celebrate it, even if it's very little. And that's how you familiarize the nervous system with that energy. You get to, and also the joy becomes more courageous to actually show up, because you don't give it a hit on the head, but you invite it. And then it becomes more, I can come. I'm not dangerous anymore. I can come. Now, one of the very good aspects of your meditation practice is, I show you now. So, smile. And if you don't have anything to smile about, then smile about that. Probably you all have heard the studies, about how when you just, do an artificial smile. And this has nothing to do with like this social, not kind of hiding, trying to hide how you feel. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you alone exploring what happens when you put a little, like a Buddha smile. Maybe even from outside, nobody could see it. but inside you have a little Buddha smile. Yeah? A little Buddha smile. And that's one of the little ways to connect with a little tiny bit of joy. I could go on like this for hours, I tell you. Because there's so many things are good in your life. I mean, so many things. And so again, I'm not saying that we don't take the way you feel serious in this. So this is not like, oh, I should feel joy, I'm so horrible, I'm not grateful, and I feel so horrible, and I know I should feel joy. And no, of course, I don't mean that. Yeah. So I promise you, the next 6 times I will talk about how to relate in a gentle way to the way you, when you feel, to the difficulties. That's very important. So I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking denying the way you feel. Of course, you must be loyal to how you feel. And if you are miserable, then you are loyal to that. But be also a joy detective. And if it's only like this, there must be something. Okay, let's have a break and some fresh air before we die.